Right then, the big cheese himself. I am funny. I don't know why you watch this. So Piper, the captain of the mascots. The captain of the mascots. I need more coffee. Captain of the Ratcatchers Guild. Fascinating model. Always full of nonsense. Beautiful model as ever. Both I really like the alternate sculpt. I know a lot of people are more about the original sculpt, and I have to say I really like the original sculpt, and that's the one that I've painted. However, I really do like the alternate sculpt as well. So well done, Steamforged and Russ's brother, whose name I forget. Sorry, Russ's brother. On your work there. So Piper and the Ratcatchers Guild in general. So Piper's got a 1-inch melee zone, a nicely quick 6-8 movement, fairly average attack 5, a reliable but short 3-6 kick, and a fairly standard striker defense of 5-0, bringing 4-6 influence to his team. Again, pretty average. The playbook, the huge thing that stands out to me is that momentous tackle on 1. That's lovely. That's very, very reliable immediately. I can always do this. Equally, the double push on 2 is not outside the realms of possibility. I think with the rest of his playbooks, that's when it starts to get a little not quite so reliable. The Pay the Piper on 2, I'll come back to, on 3. The similar to Skulk's momentous dodge double push, a knockdown on 5, and a momentous 2 damage Pay the Piper on 5. Again, I always tend to look at the first few columns to really tell me what the model is about, and that tells me this model is about ball retrieval and repositioning his opponent. And that repositioning of the opponent is a theme that will run throughout Piper's card. Onto character plays, Pay the Piper. Either after playbook on 3 or 5 or a cost of 2. So each time an enemy model spends momentum within this aura, the friendly team gains 1 momentum. This I really, really like because this is a secondary dilemma mechanic in many ways. Although he has a dilemma mechanic on the back. I'll come back to that shortly. If you get this up, you are forcing your opponent to consider their actions more, eating more clock, and this is certainly a theme that we've seen throughout the Ratcatchers Guild, is their ability to force bad decisions onto your opponent and in a competitive environment to force their clock management more than usual. So that continues more and more with this. It's not something I say you put up every single turn. It's not Minefield or anything like that, even though I don't think you put Minefield every turn up with Ballista. But it is nice and it's just a good aura. I like it. And anything you do gives me a resource. I will take that. But perhaps the big one that stands out and draws comparisons most to Obulus, the captain of their parent guild in the form of the Morticians, is Reverie. So for 3 influence, I can make a friendly model within 8 inches sprint and take a shot without spending influence. This is superb for 2 reasons. One, the cost of doing it in Piper's activation compared to doing it in the model's activation is only 1 influence higher. If they were to sprint and take a shot in their own activation, you're looking at 2 influence. So beyond even and then for an additional 1, you're taking a second advance because presumably they've advanced in their own activation or have an advanced in their activation to take later. That it can be used without taking a shot is huge. I can consider the amount of times that I've puppet mastered Casket to jog, and this Reverie allows him to sprint is even better. So that's a lovely bit of repositioning, even without the shot at the end of it. The fact that it does have a shot at the end of it is vast. Still need to spend the momentum, of course, but you're doing it out of activation, and as I've often said, and you may have heard me say it elsewhere on this channel, out of activation movement is an incredibly powerful thing in any positional based wargame, which is basically any wargame with miniatures that aren't on hexes, and even those ones are positional based. So ignore that last bit. Out of activation advances, incredibly powerful. I had a little game with the Ratcatchers the other day. Pelage scored all 3 goals for me to win by 3 goals, none of which happened in their own turn. One of which was a snapshot, and the other 2 was a Reverie goal from Piper. This is a very, very strong ability, whether he is manoeuvring Scourge into charge lanes or whether he is taking models to shoot. Just the extension of threat ranges is vast. So, let's take Pelage, for example. She's got a sprint of 8, so she can sprint for 16 inches with this. If I pass the ball to her looking at 20 inches, and then she's got a 6-inch kick, that's a 26-inch goal threat. That's huge, absolutely huge. Onto the back of his card is where the nonsense really, really happens. Haunting Melody. Choose a model within 8 inches, and for free, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just, no influence, no momentum, just make a jog. Either I'm jogging towards you, or you are jogging towards me. I could see this being used every single time by a Piper player, even if you have no intention whatsoever to, or any clue of how to do it, because of course you can jog either your opponent's choice, no inches, you don't have to do it, but you're just going to put the clock onto your opponent and go, there you go, spend 30 seconds thinking about that. And as you sort of wind down into those final minutes of the clock at a tournament, just those little additional things can vastly change the game. And of course, if you do have a plan, this is massive, because you are basically giving him free movement. And you may have noticed, I'm a big fan of free movement. Heroic play, 2-inch push. It's kind of like Midas's, but upon the opponent. Love it. Just get away from me. I'm going to go in, tackle the ball, and then push you away using the momentum that I got from that tackle. That's good. Like that. It's got so many uses, particularly considering he has a momentous double push on 2. It's not unconvincing that, if you've got an opponent's model within 4 inches of the pitch, charge in, push him off you go, there's a takeout from Piper. Lovely. Legendary play, Swarm's Obedience, choose either friendly or enemy goalpost, all models within 8 inches go towards that goal punch with a 2-inch push. Fantastic. Just free movement once again. In those 3 character plays you've got on the back, there's a huge variety of ways for you to move Piper around without using his advance. And there's a huge way of moving your opponent around without hitting them. That's vast. You just go wherever you want, do whatever you want. If you're up against Ratcatchers, your positioning against a good Piper player means nothing. They can just do what they want, and I do genuinely get quite excited by that, because it's something we haven't seen this level of nonsense of, and I'm looking forward to sort of top table players abusing that and really, really messing with opponents' positioning, and I don't want to be on the receiving end of it ever. So Ratcatchers as a whole then, and forgive me, handy viewers such as you are, a rare moment of self-indulgence. Rare moment, this entire channel is self-indulgence. These are my Ratcatchers that I have painted up. The paint scheme and plan for them is that of Candlelight Within the Sewers, and it is a scheme I've wholly stolen from Alex Botts's Union models, painted by the very talented Spiraling Cadaver. So Ratcatchers in general, they are laden with nonsense. I think it is absolutely fair to say. The goal threat and the positioning is very, very real. They are going to be very reliant on goals, I think, to score, outside of Scourge and Scourge's sort of snack break takeouts to accelerate VP, much the same way Morticians do with Casket Time and Vet Graves. They are going to be reliant on goals. They have a dangerous situation ahead of them, I think it's fair to say, in that they are playing, as was alluded to on the Steamforged blog, their own scenario where their players have a degree of half-life, and management of that disease is going to be a very high skill cap component to their gameplay, I think. I think the delta between good players with Ratcatchers and good and not so good players with Ratcatchers is going to be quite vast. But then I think that's true of most control-based teams in all games, so perhaps it's not that different after all. Overall, I'm very, very impressed with the Ratcatchers. I was very excited to paint them, and I have to say I'm very pleased with how my paint job has turned out. I still think perhaps Morticians are more my end of nonsense, in that I prefer control-based teams which result in takeouts rather than those that return goals. But how have you found them? How have you been using them? What have you gotten out of them? Do let me know. Do let me know. Please leave a comment in the doobly-doo below. Doobly-doo? Doobly-doo. So you should be seeing on screen right now a beard. Should you wish to be subscribing, please to be having a click. Equally, there are links to playlists scattered about your screen. Maybe you want to know more about blacksmiths. Or maybe you want to have a look at Godbeard. Or perhaps you just want to not touch the beard and see how I video, document, and then talk nonsense over the top of games of Guild Ball. Until next time, handy viewers such as you are, I need a better outro.